Greetings, friend, and welcome. Behind the glossy headlines about chatbots and smart assistants lies a much deeper story. The AI arms race isn't just about algorithms. It's about control of the machines that make those algorithms possible. Export controls on chips, data, and software are quietly redrawing the map of global power. And in today's video, we're diving into how these restrictions are shaping the new world order, who's winning, who's losing, and why the AI future may depend less on genius ideas and more on geopolitics. For decades, nuclear weapons were the ultimate sign of power. But in the 21st century, something else has emerged: computational supremacy. Without advanced semiconductors, no country can lead in AI. Training large models requires cutting-edge chips that can crunch billions of calculations per second. That makes hardware a national security asset on par with missiles. Governments know this. That's why the US, the EU, and other allies have imposed sweeping restrictions on which countries can buy the best chips, who can access cloud supercomputing, and how those technologies can be used. It's no longer just business, it's geopolitics. Let's start with the US and China. In 2022, the US rolled out unprecedented export controls, barring sales of high-performance chips like NVIDIA's A100 and H100 GPUs to Chinese firms. Overnight, Chinese companies were cut off from the crown jewels of AI computing. The US didn't stop there. It pressured allies like the Netherlands and Japan, home to companies like ASML and Tokyo Electron, to deny China access to the world's most advanced chip-making equipment. Without these, producing top-tier chips becomes nearly impossible. China has responded with massive investment in self-reliance. Companies like Huawei are building their own chips, while state-backed funds pour billions into domestic fabs. The slogan is indigenous innovation, AI independence at any cost. But here's the catch. It's not just about designing chips. It's about producing them at scale with nanometer precision. And right now, only a handful of companies in the world can do that. Export controls are forcing China to play catch-up in a game where the US and allies still hold most of the cards. Until recently, Europe wasn't at the center of the chip war. But that's changing. In 2025, the European Union moved to tighten its export controls on advanced technologies, from quantum computing to semiconductors, especially in response to Russia's war in Ukraine. The EU is creating a centralized system that can act faster than the slow, multinational agreements of the past. That means Europe now has teeth. It can cut off Russia, limit China's access, and coordinate with allies in real time. For Europe, this isn't just about security. It's about relevance. Without export control power, Europe risks being sidelined between US and Chinese giants. With it, Europe gets a seat at the table. And what about Russia? After its invasion of Ukraine, the West imposed some of the most severe tech sanctions in history. Officially, Russia should be starved of advanced chips. But reality is more complicated. Investigations show that Russia is still sourcing restricted semiconductors through third countries like Turkey, Malaysia, and the UAE. Sometimes chips are relabeled, sometimes they're smuggled, and sometimes companies simply look the other way. Russia also has an ace up its sleeve: China. With Moscow and Beijing deepening cooperation, Russian firms are gaining indirect access to AI hardware and software. The creation of Russia's new Unmanned Systems Forces, a military branch focused entirely on drones and autonomous systems, is proof that the sanctions are leaking. Export controls may slow Russia, but they haven't stopped it. While superpowers fight, countries in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia face a dilemma: whom to align with. On one hand, the US and Europe are offering partnerships, funding, and limited access to AI tools. On the other, China is positioning itself as the champion of the global South, providing cheaper infrastructure and promising not to impose the same restrictions. This split risks creating a two-tier AI world: nations with access to cutting-edge chips, and nations forced to depend on whatever's available secondhand. And once dependencies form on Chinese infrastructure or US cloud access, they become very hard to escape. But here's the irony. export controls are not airtight. Every time a country like the US tightens restrictions, new loopholes open up. For example, chips intended for gaming can sometimes be repurposed for AI. Cloud computing access can give countries AI power without ever owning physical chips. Smuggling routes reroute goods through middlemen. Some analysts call this whack-a-chip, patching one hole only to see another open. That raises the question, can hardware restrictions alone ever really stop a determined nation? Or do they just buy time? So where does this all lead? 3 scenarios are possible. Fragmentation. The world splits into AI blocks, US plus allies, China plus partners, and a gray zone in between. Each block builds its own models, chips, and standards. Acceleration. Export controls backfire, pushing China and others to double down on innovation. In the long run, they catch up faster. Coordination. Unlikely but possible. Countries agree on common AI rules. Export controls stabilize, and AI becomes less of a zero-sum game. Right now, fragmentation looks most likely. And that means the AI arms race isn't about who builds the smartest chatbot. It's about who controls the supply chain of semiconductors, cloud infrastructure, and standards. The AI arms race isn't being fought in headlines or apps. It's being fought in factories, shipping routes, and government offices deciding who gets the most powerful chips. Export controls are the invisible weapons shaping our future. For nations, the message is clear. Control the hardware, control the power. And for the rest of us, it's a reminder that AI isn't just a tool of innovation. It's a lever of geopolitics. This is Micah Sai, and you're watching the Singularity Hub, your gateway to tomorrow's tech. Subscribe for more.